Hello, explorers, and welcome to Cozy News Corner, where we are talking about open source news. And this has been a month since I recorded since last time, and it's a problem as I probably because of the summer months, people have had vacations and so on. So there hasn't been that many news items that have been newsworthy. Of course, there is a lot of news items, a lot of progress, but not that much that I really need to talk about. So I have gathered 30 news items during the whole month. That is what I usually been able to gather 1 week. 10 or so news items, but it has been a little bit harder this time. So first we have the new Incident Relay platform that brings open source to on-call management. So Incident Relay is an open source platform for managing on-call schedules, alerts, routing, escalations, and incident response. And it integrates this Prometheus Alert Manager, Grafana Alerting, AVS, SSS, and CloudWatch, Zabbix, Sentry, and Libre NMS, and Armon, and other general webhooks. So if you have the need for this kind of a platform, it is now available. And it might be something I look into because there is, of course, a lot of these kind of different messaging sources that goes around in our organization, and being informed when something happens is, of course, extremely important. And currently I get email and SMS from so many systems when something goes wrong. So it could be good to have a more managed system around that. Next up, we have Jack Dorsey, the person behind Twitter, a co-founder of Twitter. He has now started Buzz. And this is where AI plays a very important role in this project, of course. Instead of treating AI as a tool, essential assistance, accessing only what is needed, Buzz enables agents to participate and directly be a teammate in conversations and projects. So this is an open source alternative to Slack, where you can just install it locally and run it locally, but you can also have a bunch of agents that runs around. And team can host this Buzz and deploy it on their own infrastructure, as I just said. So it could be an interesting alternative. Slack is good for what it's used for in our organization at the moment, but it can be really... we have had issues when it have been down, and we have also had issues with different integrations that haven't been a good fit for Slack. So having something as an alternative is, of course, interesting. And hosting it yourself, keeping your information local, don't send the information on that is proprietary to another organization, could also be a good reason, of course. Next up, we have Debian developers that debate on banning AI-assisted contributions. So this is a developer called Matthias Greiger with Jesse Rhodes, and they submitted a general resolution proposal titled Ban LLM Contributions from Debian, that was released in July 2022. And it applies to all the Debian source code packages, packaging work, and software developed by Debian, and official web resources, documentation, translations, and project communication. So pretty much everything. It's an interesting take. There are gonna be a lot of packages that have been touched by AI, but Debian is very restrictive when it comes to releasing source code and releasing packages. So they want to have maintainers that take responsibility for each packet release, and they also run things for much longer than any other open source project. So they are very restrictive in taking in new source code and new maintainers. It takes a while, but I think that is a good approach to keep these kind of unintentional flaws going into production environment. So, but the problem now with AI is that everything goes so freakingly fast, where you have new vulnerabilities coming out pretty much daily, and you need to keep up in order to patch these things, and the maintainers of each package might want to have a day off and so on. So it could be a complicated issue. Next up, we have Open UK. That wants Britain to stop giving away source code to other creations. And this is this kind of problematic discussions around the US and the EU, and because of the hostilities that some governments have shown against each other, we have created this schism between the different organizations, and now UK want to have their own place where they can put their source code, their own foundation. So the open source software foundation is not good enough, they want their own. So categorizing this proposed British flavor of the LF, a national foundation. Germany already has their Southern Tech Agency, and China has their Open Atom Foundation. So Britain thought that they could have their own as well. And this foundation has already created stuff. So one of the things that are under the guise of this is, of course, the Model Context Protocol. The standard behind AI models are connected outside tools and data, was created by 2 engineers in London. So that standard would be in this organization then. And if the UK had an established foundation, they wouldn't have lost the MPC to the US. So lost. I think it's something that again the understanding of everyone around you, and if everybody can interoperate, we have a better world. And good news for gamers, GOG is officially coming to Linux. It will take a lot of time, so it's not really that much of a news item. I just thought it was really fun to hear, but it's a significant undertaking, so it will take a while for this to be ready. The timelines on results and so on has not been really released yet, but they are at least saying that they are putting and investing a great amount of time and effort into it. So hopefully it will come soon. I had a couple of these kind of interesting stories where people said, we are working on something, it will come sometime. And I don't think that is really news. The news is when it actually is here. Not that people are working on it. But in this case, GOG is so large of an organization, so they actually are saying officially that they have been working on something for Linux. I think that is newsworthy. Next up, we have Image 3.1, something that I actually host locally now for all my images, and they have now added photo and video management and solutions to handle EXIF-based workflow filters. And the navigation in the web interfaces has been enhanced. So when you press Ctrl K or / you open a command palette and can actually do different works, go to the maintenance page and so on. And the HEIF processing and video playback security policies have changed. The external library workflow has new triggers, slideshow behavior has improved, search filters have been improved, album creation, Android background handling has been improved, working just fine for me. Live photo downloads, right to left interface layouts, and several navigation and responsiveness issues. And I think it's working really good now. So it's good to hear that they have improved things. Next up, we have Linux desktop marketing share have surpassed 10% in North America, which is really nice. So StatCounter have reported that Linux now have a 10.65 share of the desktop usage in North America, and with Cloudflare data leading further support to this milestone. So hopefully in the future we will see even more of this adoption of Linux, as gaming is now ubiquitous over both Windows and Linux, and some people are pretty fed up with the Windows environment at this point. I switched over 3 years ago, and I'm not really that happy those few times I wanted to test something and had to switch over to Windows. Not to talk about those few times I had to show something off in Windows and had to record it. It was such a hassle, so I'm not sure that I will do that again. If something comes up that is really newsworthy, that I really need to show off on Windows, I will of course do that, but it took a day to get that set up and running. Next up, we have EU age verification that has been a little bit discussed around the world, but now they have added hardware-bound attestation. So hardware-bound attestations is a requirement for the project, not an implementation details that we can simply drop. It's something that the EU Digital Identity team has said. So this is this application you open up and you are using your face and your passport and so on in order to say that you are in a particular age range. On those systems that says you can enter your age, then I'm born pretty much in 1970, the 1st of January. So I would be 56 years old, and in those cases where I need to use my passport or any photo identification, I'm 6 years old and I don't want to give you any other information. So I'm somewhere between 6 and 56 in this case. However, stricter checks on root detection, Google Play integration, integrity, and Apple app attestation are now universally mandated to reference implementations and may not be left to individual developers, which means that you can't use a rooted phone anymore and use other operating system on your phone in order to get Europe digital identity, and you can probably not get it on Linux either. So yeah, some people in the big EU will now no longer have an age, which is an interesting way of going about it. Next up, we have AI slop that keeps flooding into GNOME extensions. So they wrote their own manual. So they have actually wrote a blog post called An Open Letter to AI for Generating GNOME Shell Extensions. And in that they have written down different things that an AI should read and understand before they submit any extensions to GNOME. So that's an interesting approach. Next up, we have Illinois, another one of those that needs to know more about our kids. So they have now an operating system to start reporting kids' age. And apps have until the 1st of July 2028 to start requesting these signals. And violations, not sending in a signal about the age of the person using the device or the device, which is the actual case. So if you have a computer that says, I'm 56, and then some kid is using that device, they will be 56. So that's very, very, very useful for this Attorney General to know that somebody is using a device that has been telling them that they are a particular age. And device manufacturers and apps acting in good faith aren't liable if the signal turns out to be wrong. So that's an interesting take on this issue. Next up, we have Canonical, which is funding a PhD to automate C code to Rust translation for Ubuntu. So they have been funding a 3-year PhD project to focus on building a system to automatically translate C code into a code base used in Rust. And I'm not sure if that is a great thing to do or a great way of putting in resources, because yes, of course, C and Rust are very similar languages, but an automated transfer without somebody actually going through the code and verifying that everything is as it should is not really a great way of doing this. It could be something that you can use as a first stepping point, but actually writing Rust code from scratch, I think, is a better approach. Next up, we have Proton Mail that wants to organize your emails. Similar to Gmail, where you put things into different categories. I think on Gmail you have 4 different categories. On Proton they have suggested 6 different categories. And because they have not access to your email, they will reading the metadata in order to categorize things, because Proton's approach are a little bit different, sorting mail by metadata instead of reading the email inside each message, since their zero access encryption keeps that content unreadable even to Proton. So they need to do it a different way. But that means also that your metadata is open and readable by anyone while the email is in transit, so that is something you need to keep in mind. And last but not least, we have the Linux creator Linus Torvalds is using AI to fix a kernel bug. And I don't really see that this is a huge thing. Of course, everybody is using AI nowadays to do work. I do some AI work as well. Something that are really tedious, or something that I don't really need to solve right now. I could solve it someday or never. Then I give it to an AI and it can go and work on it for a while and see if it can actually find a solution. And it seems like Linus did the same. So what he wrote in the mailing list was, and this bug was a session from hell, enormously helped by AI doing much of the grunt work. I'd like to call it my tireless helper, but the AI several times stated flat out that this was impossible to solve and that we should just write a report about it. I suggested those things have been trained by people who may not be quite as stubborn as I am. But while the AI was ready to give up several times, it did keep adding the bug code and analyze it faithfully. Then I pushed. So credit where credit is due. I let AI write the commit message above. This is basically a one-liner fix on a bogus round up to a round down. But there have been 24 patches adding more and more debug information about this, and 18 kernel boots to finally narrow this down, Linus. So, yeah, when you have something that is really strange and really hard to nail down, AI can be going at it tirelessly for days in order to find a solution. And currently I'm using Qwen 3.8, which 27 billion parameters. That is something that you can run on your own hardware. It could be run on something that has at least 16 gigabytes of memory, and it's very, very capable. The only thing that I have noticed of why this model and running it locally is that it's very, 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 very assertive when it tries to solve something. So if it tries to solve something and then it runs a bunch of tests, tries to figure it out, then runs more tests, tries to figure it out, runs more tests. So it doesn't really end up saying, I'm done, this is good, until it has ran through a bunch of tokens and a very long time. So I wanted it to write something very simple, and it took hours in order to do that because it iterated over it until it was perfect, it thought. I still think it wasn't the absolute best code that I have ever seen, but it's much more capable than a lot of other models. So this was what I wanted to cover today. I hope that you found this interesting. I hope that you learned something today. If you like this video, give it a like, share it with your friends and colleagues. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that. If you have any comments or suggestions, leave those in the comment section down below. And I really want to see you in the next one.